casual clothes, all this nonsense. But for you guys who are not familiar with Virginia, when all of my Epstein content was banned from the platforms 4 or 5 years ago,
Yep.
what I did was I put a lot of it into my book, Who Killed Epstein. So I'll go over the story of Virginia for those of you who may not be familiar with all the details. So as you can see on the screen, we got the picture of Andrew emerging with his arm around Virginia Roberts. He was the UK trade ambassador, all this stuff, he was supposedly doing all this stuff around the world, furthering British interests. And then this story broke out. They tried to suppress it, but eventually all hell broke loose. So the story that accompanied the picture wasn't long to follow. Virginia's story emerged in the press and subsequently in court. So she had been recruited for Giuffre by Ghislaine Maxwell as a 16-year-old working as an attendant at Donald Trump's famous Mar-a-Lago resort in Palm Beach, Florida. According to Virginia, Maxwell had lured her with promises of training to become a professional massage therapist. However, her job interview at Epstein's Palm Beach home quickly turned from a simple massage into a carnal activity, let's just say. Virginia had been a runaway from home since the age of 13, and she had been carnally transported before, so she was extremely vulnerable. As we say in the UK, she went out of the chip pan into the frying pan, from one predator to another. She quickly fell into Epstein's orbit and went from regular carnal massages at his El Brio Way mansion in Palm Beach to jetting around the world with him as his personal masseuse. I mean, look at that photo. Look at how young she is. It was on one of these trips in March 2011 that she first met Randy Andy. So Virginia, Giuffre, and Maxwell had flown into London and were staying at Maxwell's townhouse in Belgravia, which I doorstepped. And we had some footage from the townhouse that was banned. And we managed to get the cleaner to open the door, and we filmed the infamous stairs going up there to the room where this allegedly happened, where Maxwell informed Virginia that later that day she would meet a prince. Maxwell took her shopping for new clothes, and in the evening, Andrew arrived. Maxwell and Andrew talked for a while, according to Virginia, mostly dissing Fergie. At one point in the conversation, Andrew was invited to guess Virginia's age, and he guessed correctly that she was 17. Maxwell then joked that she would soon be getting too old for Giuffre. The group headed to a restaurant. It was in the taxi that Maxwell told Virginia that she was expected to supply the same services to Andrew that she did for Giuffre. She was shocked that a royal would engage in such nefarious activity and felt anxious that she would have to make the prince happy. After dinner, they went to Andrew's old haunt, Tramp nightclub in Mayfair, the same place where he'd met his ex, Q Stark, and Virginia recounted that she had danced with him. He was a terrible dancer and he sweated all over. This is the guy who doesn't sweat, remember? They then returned to Maxwell's house where Virginia asked Epstein to take a photo of her with the prince, as you can see on the screen. This picture was taken by Giuffre using Virginia's camera and showed the prince with his arm around the then 17-year-old's waist on the landing of Maxwell's house, with Ghislaine herself floating around in the background. After the pic, Virginia and Andrew retired to the bedroom to take a bath, where Virginia alleged that Andrew kissed and licked her toes and the arches of her feet, followed by going to the bedroom where they had full on you-know-what. Virginia described it as the longest 10 minutes of her life. And Matthew Steeples, God bless him, he did some research on the dimensions of the house and the bathtub, etc., further exposing what had happened that day. So the next day, Virginia was told that she'd done well and had made the prince happy. Giuffre paid her $10,000 for the encounter, more than she had ever received for such services before. Unfortunately, she spent most of the money on partying and drugs to mask the increasing pain and trauma her lifestyle was causing. She next met Prince Andrew in the following spring of 2002. She was lying in her room at Giuffre's Manhattan mansion when she received a call to come down to Giuffre's studio. The study. She was surprised to see Andrew grinning at her from the couch. She alleged that Maxwell took her by the hand and led her over to sit on the prince's lap. Andrew had a spitting image puppet of himself, which Glenn had given him as a present. He allegedly used the puppet to grope Virginia's upper glands, let's say, and did the same to Johanna Schoberg, another Epstein beep slave who was also present. Virginia took Andrew to what she called the dungeon, Epstein's massage area. There, she proceeded about her normal massage routine, starting with the feet and massaging up the legs. The prince flipped over before she had even made it to his calves, and the massage allegedly turned into oral. The third time she had beep with Andrew was when she, as she testified, was on his island, Little St. James, in an alleged orgy in which 8 other girls took part. Oh, thank you, Claire, for the super chat. All of whom looked underage and were from Eastern Europe or Russia, speaking little or no English. If you remember, we did a lot of research, also got banned on Jean-Luc Brunel, who was the second most important procurer for Giuffre. Giuffre boasted he slept with over 1,000 of his East European girls that came through the Jean-Luc Brunel pipeline, including 12-year-old triplets, and boasted how good the oral was for them. Jean-Luc Brunel allegedly gave Giuffre these 12-year-old triplets as a birthday gift. So Virginia recounted how Giuffre joked with Epstein. Giuffre and Epstein and Prince Andrew joked about the girls' lack of English, saying they were the easiest kind of girls to get on with. And, the easiest kind of girl to keep their mouths shut. That's what they meant. Virginia eventually escaped the clutches of Epstein after he sent her to Thailand for a 6-month massage therapy course. This is where, of course, she met her husband, and that's run into some bad luck as well, but we'll get to that. The predator had early told Virginia that he wanted her to have his baby, the New Mexico baby farm research that we did. Some of you guys may remember those videos. The shocked 18-year-old had prevaricated, saying she wanted to get the massage qualifications he had promised her first before committing to the pregnancy. While in Thailand, she met Robert Giuffre, an Australian backpacker, and the two quickly fell in love. Virginia returned to Australia with Robert after a shotgun marriage in Thailand and went on to have a family of 3 kids. She wanted to forget Giuffre forever, but with his first Florida conviction and subsequent private lawsuits, she found herself dragged back into the case and began sharing her story with the press in the US courts. So with Virginia's allegations, Prince Andrew's reputation sunk to an all-time low. Yet still the storm might have blown over if it hadn't been for Giuffre's arrest in July 2019 and his subsequent charges of transporting minors for beep. All the stories about Andrew and Virginia resurfaced in the press, along with fresh allegations. Documents appeared showing that Johanna Schoberg had also accused Andrew of staying in New York with a spitting image puppet, thus corroborating Virginia's story. As we have seen, the mounting pressure led to Andrew's fateful and disastrous and laughable decision to appear on the BBC Newsnight interview. Following the car crash interview, organizations associated with Andrew began pulling their backing, including KPMG, AON, Standard Chartered, Adweek, AstraZeneca, Barclays, Royal Philharmonic, National Ballet, Yorkshire Ambulance, and on and on and on and on the list goes. As Andrew increasingly became a pariah, the inevitable happened. Within 4 days of the interview, he stepped down from all royal duties, saying, "The circumstances relating to my former association with Giuffre have become a major disruption to my family's work and the valuable work going on in the many organizations and charities that I am proud to support." But worse was to come. New allegations surfaced about Andrew's predilections and his ties to Giuffre. A former friend of Maxwell told the Daily Beast that she'd been invited by Glenn to a party at his private apartment in Buckingham Palace, and on and on and on and on it goes. But I want to keep this about Virginia. And now that I've given you the background, Virginia had a really sad upbringing, and Giuffre was basically preying on girls in these South Florida schools. He had a pyramid scheme whereby he would get them to come and do these massages, and if they would, if he could get them, manipulate them into it becoming a carnal act, he would give them so much $100 at the end of it and have them come back. If they would refuse to do the carnal act, he would try and hire them as recruiters at these schools. And he was so brazen, he was sending flowers and gifts to the girls in these schools that he was recruiting for this pyramid scheme of underage coming to his house, doing these massages. Glenn would be the first one to meet them. She would try and put them at ease with her feminine energy, take them to the massage room. She would assist. And then the manipulation from it just being a regular massage over to an illegal carnal act with a minor. And this thing just went on and on and on, to whereby they indoctrinated so many underage girls into this. And as you know, there was just tons of huge names on this list that we're being told, is supposed to be coming out, but never seems to come out. And if you trace back, the origin of the honey trap, the difference between the Diddy case and Virginia's case, we go back to it's been a honey trap leading to hugely powerful political figures, presidential crime family dynasties, intelligence agencies such as the CIA and the Mossad, and hence, no matter how good Pam Bondi's intentions may seem to be, nothing has been forthcoming yet, really, to tell us about the true client. This is one of the biggest human transportation cases in the world, and only one person got arrested and survived. Giuffre, the main person who got arrested, got offed, and then Jean-Luc Brunel. Same thing happened to Jean-Luc Brunel, the second most prolific recruiter of the girls. He got offed as well in a French prison. Exactly the same thing. He got the old hyoid fracture. It's more indicative of homicide than someone trying to unalive themselves. So what's happened now, folks, is if you've seen this news today, or if you're just tuning in, Virginia has been hit. She was in a car, hit by a bus flying along at 70 miles an hour, which is causing all kinds of theories online. People are saying that she's been Princess Diana'd. Don't mess with the royal family. This is an example. And we're trying to get Ryan Dawson on tomorrow morning, and we're hoping to get Lionel on later on tonight. In 35 minutes, I've got a guy who's an ex-Royal Marine who got put in prison for a Facebook post. So stay tuned for that one. So anyway, Sky Roberts is Virginia's dad, and Virginia has said that she's got 4 days to live. She wants to see her kids for the final time. She's estranged from her husband now. They did get a $2 million property together, I'm assuming from the Prince Andrew settlement. And now her dad has said he's sick to his stomach. He'll do anything to be able to fly from his home in Florida to be by her side following the horrific car crash. I feel like crying because I love my daughter more than life. It was in an Instagram post that Virginia announced she'd been given 4 days to live after this bus plowed into her car, leaving her with kidney renal failure. Wow. The crash unfolded a couple of days ago in Australia. The dad has not spoken to her since the crash. Her brother has been in regular contact with her over the past couple of days and has been kept updated on her condition. He said she's in a really bad shape. She's very depressed. There's everything else she's been going through with the divorce and not being able to see her kids. Robert said that his son is trying to get her spirits up so she doesn't just give up I'm hoping she can hang on. She's only 41. She's got a lot of life to live. She's got a lot of things left to do. She's helping people and helping other girls. There's nothing I can do from here. He said, I'm on Social Security, so I can't fly out. I'd love to be by her side and support that. That's a dad in Florida. So what she actually wrote on Insta, this year has been the worst start to a new year, but I won't bore anyone with the details. But I think it's important to note that when a school bus driver comes at you driving 110 kilometers, as we were slowing for a turn, that no matter what your car is made of, it might as well be a tin can. I've gone into kidney renal failure. They've given me 4 days to live, transferring me to a specialist hospital in urology. I'm ready to go, just not until I see my babies one last time. But you know what they say about wishes? Beep in one hand and wish in the other. And I guarantee it's still going to be beep at the end of the day. Thank you for being the wonderful people of the world and for being a great part of my life. God bless you all. XX Virginia. And as well as begging his daughter not to give up, the dad said he's making a public plea for her to get a second medical opinion. She needs to get a second medical opinion, he said. When someone tells you you're going to die in 4 days, you don't want to hear from just that person. You need to get a second opinion. You need a third opinion. I agree with him wholeheartedly on that. People can program themselves to die when they hear these things. Robert said he used to be really close with his daughter, but the relationship had become strained in recent years. He only has good memories. I remember all the great times I've had with her here, growing up and putting her in horse shows and all the fun things we used to do. All you can do when someone is a bad way is think of the good times. You don't want to think of the bad times. He said that his daughter also became recently estranged from the kids. She's in the middle of a messy divorce with a husband of 2 decades, Robert. And that's the Robert that she met when she was in Thailand. And that's the guy who helped her escape from the clutches of Epstein. And Maxwell was on a case trying to get her back. It was horrific what she went through. She deserved to get that settlement. But good grief, the swings in this woman's life, it's insane. Robert says he hopes that her wish to be able to see her kids comes true. She's lived in Australia since December 2020 and was living there with her husband and the 3 kids. She shared a shocking image of herself lying in hospital covered in bruises. And we're going to start to take some calls, folks. I've not done a show where we've had call-ins. Ron's here right now. I told him I'm going to get on a serious monologue because this is huge news for all Epstein researchers. But I would like it if anybody wants to call in and speak to me. We piloted this last night, and Ron will explain to you while I pause for breath and have a swig. Ron will explain to you how you can call in if you want to discuss this, folks.
Yeah. So there's a Discord server that's been set up. If you follow the link that is in the description, the mods will be posting it for you. When you join the server, on the left-hand side, under where it says the welcome room, you'll see call-in streams, and there's a room in there called the waiting room. If you go in there and just hang out in there, and then I'll announce on the show who I'm pulling in, and I'll pull you into the live room, and we can do that. So we've got a few people waiting, so I'm going to grab 11 and 1 equals 12. Are you there? 11 plus 1 equals 12. Oh, wait, hang on. It might help if I turn my speakers on. There we go. And then turn this off. How are we doing? Are you there? 11 plus 1 equals 12. How are you?
Hey, I'm good.
Well, welcome to the Shaun Attwood channel. You're live with Shaun. What's your views on this? Have you got a question you'd like to throw out, and how you doing?
I'm upset, and I'm just trying to figure out this Concord thing, and I haven't followed what you and Shaun were saying. I just listened to Kirby this afternoon, and I'm upset, and I think it's not an accident.
Yeah, I agree, and thank you for calling in. You're actually my first ever call in on the show. Really appreciate that. And viewers, if you could put a 1 in the chat if you agree with our caller in that this is a suspicious accident, or put a 2 in the chat if you think it's just a normal accident, and we will see what the viewers think. And I think it's hugely suspicious. I've been speaking to Ryan Dawson today about it. He's been, researching Giuffre longer than anyone that I know, and I'm hoping to get him on tomorrow morning to discuss this further. Why would a bus be going 70 miles per hour? I'm thinking.
Yeah, and why doesn't any journalist call the hospital for information or get an expert in? Because kidney failure, can't you have a kidney transplant?
Yeah, I think there was a few people at the side chat that had commented on maybe that are other injuries maybe preventing surgery from happening.
Okay.
But obviously, this is all speculation, I might add. It's very
Yeah.
much, we're all just
Yeah.
kind of jumping to conclusions because, I
Yeah.
mean, Shaun, when was the last time you heard an announcement of you have 4 days to live? I mean, it seems
Right.
like an odd time frame, if you see what I mean. I mean, it really, really does. And I agree with her dad. I mean, if you get told you've got 4 days to leave, I'd be having multiple opinions from multiple doctors, you know, because you just don't know what someone's missed, right?
So, a vehicle that size traveling at that speed into a car, you shouldn't have any days to live. If this was a setup, it was set up to wipe her out on the spot, and she is so brave and strong that she's still going. And it says here that kidney failure, also known as end-stage renal disease, is fatal if left untreated. But as you pointed out, with treatments like dialysis or a kidney transplant, individuals
Yeah.
can live longer and maintain a good quality of life. So it shouldn't be fatal unless
Okay.
they're not going to treat it. They're just going to let sit there and to unalive her.
Right. That's weird.
Yeah.
That's why I hope that the journalists will call the hospitals to get some pressure on the hospital to come out with statements.
I mean, how does that work, Shaun? I mean, are hospitals allowed to make statements like that? Is it not medical, like patient care privilege sort of thing? Is it not? Is it not like that?
Yeah, so you've got huge international public interest in this story. So you're gonna have,
Yeah.
whatever channels are available on the local laws of that country. The journalists will be pursuing them so that they can get that out as soon as possible, unless they're stonewalled. But you are quite right, Ron. Confidentiality for the medical patient will be something that would be a paramount consideration.
Yeah.
By the team there as well. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, listen, 11 plus 1 equals 12. Thanks for joining. I'm going to put you back in the waiting room and I'm going to grab Uber Fuber and drag you in here,
Yeah.
my G. Thank you so much for joining us. And
Bye, guys.
we'll speak to you again very soon. Thank you.
Thank you.
Uber, are you there?
I am, mate.
How are we doing? Welcome. You're live. Oh, you've left. Hang on a second. You there? You there, Uber?
I am.
Oh, no. And you've left again. I don't know why this keeps kicking you out of here, dude.
It's not that easy to get a kidney transplant, is it?
No, hang on. No.
Let me come out.
Yeah. Can you? No. He just keeps coming out. That's fine. I'm going to grab Kaza Bear just now because she is waiting patiently. How are we doing, Kaz?
Yeah, get Kaza in there.
Oh, wait, is it?
Are you there, Kaz?
I am here. Oh.
Well, you're live on the Shaun Attwood channel. What are your opinions on this case? What's been going on here, Kaz? What do you think?
Very suspicious.
What parts of it have made you the most suspicious, Kaza?
Our black eye, the Epstein files, the release of the files, lots of stuff.
You think it's a warning shot? It's a warning shot to people
Yeah.
because
Yeah,
of the timing of
I
the Epstein
think so.
files.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not being funny. There's been a lot of talk from the new president's office about the Epstein list. I mean, could this not be also seen as a warning to everyone that's currently making threats about lists and exposing people and all the rest of it? Do you think it entirely ties back to the royals, or do you think there could be Other
Well, I think
individuals.
it's all tied, not just the royals, like the whole lot, Hollywood, everything. I just think it's all dodgy, all connected and dodgy.
Yeah, I think that's I think a lot of us feel that. I'm just throwing up this is all allegedly as well, just so you know, we're
Yeah.
just speculating on possibilities of what could have happened here. But I think the one thing that most people are reacting to, Shaun, is the fact that when have you ever seen a bus going 70 miles an hour, especially what was reported on to be a school bus, I believe.
A school bus, yeah.
Definitely, I've never heard of a school bus going that kind of a speed. That's insane. And I
Uh-uh.
think what Kaz has hit it on the head. You know, people say, has X ordered the assassination of Y? It's never that simple. There is a complex network of vested, powerful interests. And when you upset that network, there's a tipping point whereby the price is going to have to be paid. They're going to make some scheme up to unalive you once those
Yeah.
vested interests, once it's reached that. And you know that she may have been someone who they thought, right, well, she's come out and caused all this damage, and we've had to pay this money, and it's raw. It would be pretty obvious if something happened to her right now, while it's all in the news. Back when it was really in the news, it would have been too suspicious. But you know,
Yeah.
they sometimes can get you years and years and years later. These things can catch up with you because they
Well,
don't want to let you get
doubt
away
it.
with these things for the rest of your life.
Well, this is it. I mean, it's like even Diddy can be tied into this. It's a whole big thing.
It's true.
There's just so many things. Like, too many people don't believe the news these days. It's propaganda. And most folk are doing their own investigations. They're getting their news online for the likes of ourselves. It's more believable. You can't believe that box in the corner.
That's true.
How anyone can believe the news? You know, the news that 20 years ago was telling us Saddam Hussein had weapons of mass destruction.
Mhm.
That's they're now telling us Iran's got weapons of mass destruction. They think we've forgotten.
Right.
20. We'll just use the same line. It was 20 years ago. They've forgotten. These people are
Yeah.
so condescending. They think that we're just so thick. We're going to buy into their
Yeah.
BS and believe their mainstream garbage. When you know the media is so controlled by the same vested interests that are linked into the Epstein network.
Yep, it's actually quite laughable at how stupid they actually think that we all are.
Yeah.
You know, it's insulting.
Yeah, it's true.
So
It really is.
it's ridiculous.
Well, look,
But get
so
somebody else on now, Goni. I didn't
Yeah.
want to come on in the
Right,
first
Nate-
place.
Nate
Oh,
Bellick.
thank you for being my second call in ever, Kaza.
You're very welcome, boss man. Anytime. I don't really mean that,
Cheers.
but anytime.
Cheers.
See you soon, Kaz. All right, so we're going to bring in Agent Orange next, and Agent Orange, how you doing, my man? How are you? Give him just a second here.
Yeah, a lot of people asking about the specifics of the accident. We don't have
Oh, no.
How we doing, Agent Orange? Welcome to the Shaun Attwood Show. You're live with myself and Shaun. Have you got a question you want to throw at us? And how are you doing today, my friend?
No, I just want to let bring it out that if the bus company was shady, it'll come out because of the actual reports that the Department of Transportation can provide. So then you can start actually doubting if it was a conspiracy or not. But they'll show the actual records from the actual company if they had a bad track record on their actual brakes.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point.
Maybe a dash cam.
Right.
Yeah. Oh man. I mean, I've got a funny feeling there's going to be a lot of paperwork lost, and no dash cam. I imagine that's what's going to. That's
Yeah, like the dash cam footage. The dash cam is going to be shut down, just like it was shut down the night before Giuffre was unalived
Yeah.
in the jail, in the feds, and the guards. 2 guards simultaneously fell asleep, which has never happened since that jail was constructed in the 1970s. No record of 2 guards falling asleep simultaneously in the entire history of that jail.
Is the Australian transportation, is that a federal actual agency?
Ooh, I don't know how it's structured in Australia. We got any Australian viewers who can enlighten us on what kind of reporting we can expect from the Australian government and the Australian media? Will they be all over this, getting the details?
I mean, the Australian journalists are pretty good. There's been quite a lot of groundbreaking reports coming out from Australia. So hopefully they, and I'll tell you something, you know that Channel 7 are going to be all over this, right? Because they don't mess about. So we just got to see. It's early days, isn't it? It's now everyone's sort of scrambling for facts and peeling at labels and seeing what's peeking behind them. So it's time will tell on this one. But she doesn't seem to. That seems to be the one thing we're being told that we don't have in this case. What we're going to learn in 4 days?
Here's a question for Agent Orange.
Okay.
Scott, what are the chances the driver of the bus will be unalived?
Well, that depends, because of the fact that if there is if it's a criminal act, he'll go to prison. But for sure, he's already gone to the actual hospital to get his blood work taken right after the actual accident.
Yeah, I mean, if we want to talk proper conspiracy here, right? They wouldn't need a driver, if we're being honest. I mean, the bus would just be drone powered. There would just be a big remote control freaking unalive bus. Because I mean, let's be honest.
But again, Ron, how difficult would it be for a bus to purposely hit a specific car?
Yeah, I mean, it's not the most agile of vehicles. They're not
Right.
they're not known for their cornering. In a straight line, no problem. But she said that she was turning.
Right.
Plus, as well, then I mean,
head on, you can see. Yeah, that could happen. But when you're turning, no.
Yeah. Plus, as well, if it was a conspiracy, I mean, I imagine that she must have been on a route that she was taking all day, or that she took all the time. She must be doing her regular routine, because somebody's going to notice if they're being tailed by a school bus all day, and then suddenly it starts gunning up to them. Do you see what I mean? So there's so many questions. There really is.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, with the kidney thing, I have lost a few people who are on the transplant list. One of my friends in Arizona, he crashed a plane in Indonesia and got a blood transfusion and got it. And he was so advanced because he was incarcerated and they wouldn't treat him. And when he got out, he used to crack jokes about going to China and getting a liver on the black market and stuff like that. But sadly, that was just his dark sense of humor, because he died for want of a liver that matched him. It's not easy to get a liver. If that's the situation she's in right now, and she's got 4 days, people can be on these waiting lists for livers for years and not even get them. I mean, she'd be high priority right now, but yeah.
In the 20-year, I've been in the healthcare business for over 20 years. I've never heard of a 4-day prognosis. I've never heard of that.
It's odd. It's really odd.
It is really odd. It's almost as if they're wishing her to not be around within 4 days.
But, I mean, what a thing to say to someone. Do you know what I mean? Like,
well, Princess Diana didn't go right away, did she? And there's a theory about the delays and the ambulance and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot.
Especially because of her age, she could actually be a donor. So why wouldn't they just keep her in a coma in order for her to to donate organs, instead of just in 4 days? That's it.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's a crazy one. Well, look, Agent Orange, thank you very much for coming and joining us, my G. If there's anything else you want to throw at us before I pull someone else in, let us know. And if anyone who's watching
No.
wants to come and join us, click the link, join the Discord, join the waiting room, and we'll pull you in. And thanks very much, Agent Orange.
Thank you for having me.
Anytime, brother. Okay, 1 second. I'm going to grab our next caller, who is going to be Emma. Excuse me. How we doing, Emma? How are you?
Oh, hi. Oh my God, this is the star. Hello. I didn't expect you to be on here.
You're my fourth ever calling. Thank you.
Oh, you've put me on.
Yeah, you're on the Shaun Attwood show, Emma. How are you? You're live.
We are live.
Hello. Hello.
What's your
Hey.
take? What's your take on this this story and this report?
Well, I think it's a hit because they've been trying to expose Prince Andrew again. If you watch you know, all the roll stuff.
Okay.
So
yeah, you just think it's the royals going full circle with this to tie off loose ends.
I'm a bit of a conspiracy theorist, so I suspect that it's the royal family and members of the government that have put a hit on her. I'm sorry, but it's the very, very top, isn't it?
Yeah.
A lot of people on Twitter are comparing it to Princess Diana.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, it's got eerie whispers of that. 100%.
As you would say, Ron, it's very, very fishy.
It's very fishy. It's all fishy. The whole case from the start of the island has been fishy. Like, what's going on with the list? What's going on with that woman in jail? Like, what is going on with this, Shaun?
Here's an interesting tweet.
Yep.
There was never a bus crash. If there was, it would be headline news in Perth, where Virginia lives, with questions asked about why a bus driver was speeding. News teams would be interviewing passengers. There'll be crash scene video.